The stars burned cold above the battlefield. Ships from both the Human Federation and the Galtari Empire exploded in silence. Drifting like broken bones in space, the war had lasted 7 long years. No one remembered who fired the first shot. Any more humans called the Galtari monsters. Galtari called humans savages. Both sides had lost cities, families, and hope. In the heart of the Galtari capital, Queen Varia stood by the window of her silver throne room. Her long blue robes flowed like water, and her eyes, golden and full of pain, stared at the sky. She was the ruler of the Galtari Empire, strong, wise, and respected. But today, she was not a queen. She was a mother. She held a small bracelet. In her hand, the last thing her son had worn. "Why did the stars take you from me?" She whispered. 3 years ago, her only child, Prince Cairo, had been sent to a safe place. Special refuge ship, protected by stealth and elite guards. Viraya had ordered it herself. It was only a child too young to fight, too important to lose. But the humans found the ship. Didn't know who was on it. They attacked. The ship exploded. Vera had felt the explosion in her bones. She felt it before the message came. Before the broken guard's helmet was returned to her. Before the wreckage was confirmed, she had screamed that day, and never again after since then. The queen ruled with silence. She led her people into battle. She did not cry. But every night, she touched the bracelet and remembered his smile. Far from the capital, in a dark, broken corner of space, a human dropship was moving through debris. Sergeant Marcus Hale, a soldier of the Human Federation, sat inside the cockpit. His face was rough, unshaven. He looked tired, but his eyes were still sharp. His small team was on a mission to rescue human scouts lost in a wreckage zone. But the zone was full of Galtari remains. Wrecked ships, twisted metal, and drifting power cores. "No signs of life," said Private Bryn. "Just junk." Marcus looked at his scanner. A faint signal blinked. Weak, non-human. He narrowed his eyes. "That's not junk," Marcus said. "That's a distress beacon." They followed the signal. It led them to a wrecked Galtari ship, not a warship. A civilian transport. Strange. The ship had been split open like a cracked egg. Inside, it was quiet, dark, burned. They moved carefully. Marcus led the way, flashlights sweeping across walls covered in Galtari writing. Most of it unreadable. 2 humans. Sir Bren said, pointing. "There's a sealed chamber. Still has power."
Marcus looked.
A thick door, half crushed, but light still blinked on its panel. He stepped forward, pressed a few buttons. Nothing. Then he pulled out his tool and forced the panel open. With a soft hiss, the door slid to the side. Inside was a pod, glowing. Faintly, and inside the pod, a child. Marcus froze. The child was alien. Green skin, small horns, big gold eyes. Wrapped in a protective suit, it was a Galtari child. Alive, the pod had kept him in stasis, kept him breathing, somehow for 3 years. The child blinked, looked up at Marcus. No fear, just confusion. "He's alive," Marcus whispered. Bryn stepped forward. "We can't take him. He's the enemy." Marcus didn't answer. He reached out and gently lifted the child from the pod. "He's a child. He's not our enemy." They brought the child back to the dropship, offering water and food. The boy looked around, quiet, calm. He seemed to understand that Marcus was not going to hurt him. "What's your name?" Marcus asked. The boy pointed at himself, then said softly, "Kai." That night, as the ship flew back to their base, Marcus sat alone in the back, the child sleeping beside him. He looked out the window at the stars. "Why were you there?" he whispered. "Who left you behind?" Back at the Federation refugee base, Marcus didn't report the child to command. He told his captain they found nothing but broken systems. He knew what would happen if they learned the truth. The military would use the child. They would try to trade him, or worse. Marcus couldn't let that happen, so he kept the boy hidden. He Told the medics the boy was an alien orphan. No records. They didn't ask questions. There were many orphans now. It's too many. And slowly, Kai began to grow. Galtari children grew fast. By the end of the first year, Kai looked like a 10-year-old human child, spoke both languages Galtari and English almost perfectly. He followed Marcus everywhere, called him sir, asked many questions. Why are humans and Galtari fighting? Because we don't understand each other? Marcus answered. Will they stop fighting? I don't know. Do you hate Galtari? Marcus looked down at him. No, not anymore. But Marcus knew the day would come when he could no longer hide the truth. One evening, found Kai sitting alone, holding a metal crest, the Galtari royal symbol. It had been inside the pod. Kai looked at Marcus with wide eyes. This is from my people. Marcus nodded slowly. Yes, I think I'm someone important. Marcus stayed quiet. I want to go home, Kai said softly. Marcus sighed. I know, but getting there won't be easy. Kai stood up. I don't care. I want to know who I am. In the Galtari palace, Queen Virea still touched the bracelet every night. She had heard whispers. Some said a Galtari child had been found by humans, and he might be alive. But her heart refused to believe. They just want to break me, she told her advisor. There is no hope. Still that night, she looked at the stars again, and somewhere far across the galaxy, a human soldier made a promise. I'll bring you home, kid, Marcus said, as Kai slept beside him, no matter what it takes. The sun over the refugee colony was not real. It was an artificial light from the ceiling of the underground base, but to Kai, it felt warm, and that was enough. He sat on the roof of the barracks looking up. His green fingers held a small Galtari crest, the one he found inside his pod. He didn't know why, but when he touched it, he felt something. Something strong. Sergeant Marcus Hale stood nearby, arms crossed, watching the boy. 3 years had passed since he had found him in the wreckage. Kai had grown fast. He now looked like a young teenager. Smart, kind, curious, but more importantly, he was still a secret. At the Federation refugee base, many alien children had no homes, no records, no names. Kai had become one of them. The doctors assumed he was. Just a survivor from a lost Galtari ship. Only Marcus knew the truth. Kai was royalty. But Marcus had never told him. Not fully. Not yet. Are we going anywhere today? Kai asked. Not today, Marcus said, but soon. Kai turned and looked at him with sharp eyes. You're hiding something from me? Marcus didn't speak, looked away. Not a normal Galtari, am I? Still no answer? I have dreams, Kai said. Of fire. A woman crying. Kay. A man holding my hand and telling me I have to be brave. Marcus finally turned to face him. That's your memory. Not a dream. Stood up. Then tell me who I am. Marcus sat him down that evening. He told him everything. About the war. The wreckage. The sealed pod. The Galtari royal mark. You're the son of Queen Virea, Marcus said. Kai's eyes widened. My mother is alive. Yes, and she thinks I'm dead. Marcus nodded. Everyone does, except me. Kai sat in silence for a long time. Why didn't you take me to her before? Marcus sighed, because it was too dangerous. The war wasn't over. If either side found out who you were, they'd use you, or kill you. And now... Marcus looked him in the eyes. ... I think it's time. They began planning their journey. The Galtari Empire was far. The route was dangerous. They couldn't use official ships. They had to move in secret, through old smuggler lanes and forgotten jump gates. Kai was excited, nervous, scared, but mostly he felt a strange warmth inside. Hope. Back in the Galtari capital, Queen Virea sat in her throne room. She no longer cried, not even in silence. Her people needed a strong ruler, which gave them strength, even if her heart was still broken. But lately, there were rumors, whispers, of a Galtari child, rescued by humans. A boy raised on a distant world, a boy with royal features. A birthmark shaped like the Star of Val, the royal sign passed down by blood. Her advisor entered the room. "Your Majesty," said, "we received a message from the outer colonies. A smuggler claims he saw a child with the royal mark." Bria stood still. "Do you believe him?" she asked. "I don't know." But the man was serious and scared. Viria closed her eyes. Could it be true, or was this another trick? She didn't want to believe. She didn't want to hurt again, but something in her heart began to beat faster. Marcus. And Kai boarded a small, rusted freighter called the Dust Runner. It was captained by an old alien named Tarn, who owed Marcus a favor. "Where to, soldier?" Tarn asked. "Galtari space," Marcus said. Tarn raised a brow. "That's suicide." Marcus looked at Kai. "Then let's make it count." The journey began. They jumped through old gates, some barely working. They stopped at forgotten moons, empty fuel stations, and spaceports filled with thieves and broken souls. Kai was amazed by the stars. He had never seen this much of the galaxy. He asked questions about every planet, every ship, every creature. Marcus smiled. "You never stop thinking, do you?" Kai shrugged. "There's so much to learn." They laughed together, like family one. Night. As they floated near an asteroid belt, Kai sat with Marcus on the deck. "Do you think she recognized me?" Kai asked. "I think she'll feel it," Marcus said. "Like I did." "What if she doesn't want me?" Marcus looked at him, serious. "That's impossible." Kai held his crest tightly. "I want her to know I'm not angry. I just want to see her face, hear her voice." "You will," Marcus promised. "You'll look her in the eyes, and she..." "No." But trouble was near. At the edge of the trade zone, they were tracked. A group of bounty hunters working for a black market lord intercepted the Dust Runner. They boarded the ship, searching for cargo. One of them, a tall alien with mechanical arms, saw Kai. "That one's Galtari," he growled. "And he's got royal blood. Look at the crest." Marcus pulled out his blaster. "Back off." A standoff. But Kai stepped forward. "Wait." He held up the crest. "I am Prince Cairo, and I'm going home." The hunters laughed. Then one of them, an old, insectoid alien, looked closer. His eyes went wide. "That mark. ... It's real." The tall alien paused, then slowly backed off. "We're not getting involved with royal business," he said. "Not after the last time. They left without a fight." News began to spread. A boy, claiming to be the lost prince, a human soldier protecting him. Some called it a lie. Others called it a miracle. On a hidden communication line, Queen Varea received a message. It had only 3 words. "He is coming." The next morning, Marcus stood on the ship's deck thinking. Tarn walked over. "You sure this is the right thing to do?" Tarn asked. Marcus nodded. "It's not about sides anymore. It's about what's right. You know they might kill you, right?" "I'm not important," Marcus said. "He is." Tarn smiled. "You're more important than you think." Kai stood beside the window, watching a Galtari star system appear. His hands trembled. "Almost there," Marcus said. Kai nodded. "I'm ready." But deep down, both of them knew the hardest part was still ahead. Because while the truth was powerful, it was also dangerous. And in the heart of the Galtari Empire, not everyone wanted the prince to return. The stars of the Galtari home system glowed like diamonds in a black ocean. For the first time in his memory, Kai saw them with his own eyes. They felt familiar, like he had seen them once long ago, maybe in a dream, or maybe when he was a baby in the arms of someone he loved. He stood at the front window of the freighter, his eyes wide, his green hands holding tightly onto the railing. Beside him, Sergeant Marcus Hale checked the ship's systems. He didn't smile. He knew this last part of the journey would be the most dangerous. They were entering enemy space. Captain Tarn, the alien smuggler who flew their ship, the Dust Runner, shook his head. "We're not going to survive long in Galtari territory," he warned. "They've got sensors everywhere. We just need to reach the outer capital moon," Marcus said. "I know a hidden path. Old mining tunnels and dead satellites. They won't see us." You're crazy, Tarn muttered. Brave. Marcus looked at Kai. Sometimes they're the same thing. As they moved forward, the ship passed near abandoned war zones. Broken Galtari and human ships floated in space like dead fish. Kai looked out at the wreckage and felt a chill. Did we do this? He asked. Yes, Marcus said. Both sides. Nobody wins in war. Not really. They saw a destroyed medical cruiser, a children's ship, and even a small moon scarred by laser fire. Kai clenched his fists. I don't want to be a prince of war, he said quietly. Marcus looked at him and placed a hand on his shoulder. Then be a prince of peace. Meanwhile, far ahead in the Capitol Palace, Queen Viera paced in silence. The message he is coming echoed in her mind every night. The possibility that her son was alive both frightened and excited her. But many in the Galtari court didn't believe the rumors, and some feared them, especially her general Lord Syrinx. If this child is real, Syrinx said, it may divide the people. Some will call him a fake, others will demand he rule. The Empire is stable now. His return could bring chaos. Ria's golden eyes burned like fire. If he's alive, he is not a threat. He's my son. Syrinx bowed, but inside, his thoughts were dark. Back aboard the Dust Runner, Marcus guided the ship into a quiet lane hidden between asteroid fields. These were old mining paths, forgotten by most, but not by him. He had studied maps for weeks. He knew the route, but what he didn't know was that someone was watching from a hidden station deep in the rocks. A Galtari patrol picked up the freighter's faint heat signal. A young officer gasped. There's a ship moving through the dead lane. Identify it, barked the commander. No ID. But there's a life form with a royal energy trace. Send the alert. Within minutes, 2 Galtari intercept ships launched toward them. Marcus saw the signal flash. We've been spotted, he said. Tarn cursed. They're fast. Can you outrun them? Maybe, but not forever. Marcus turned to Kai. No matter what happens, stay close to me. The chase began. The interceptors flew fast, cutting through space like blades. The freighter twisted and rolled, dodging mines and rocks. Kai held onto the seat, heart pounding. Marcus fired back, using the ship's old weapons. Sparks flew. One interceptor pulled back. The other kept coming. They flew into a narrow tunnel through an asteroid. Rocks crashed. Metal screamed, then dash boom. A small explosion, the freighter rocked hard and spun. Tarn shouted, We lost the right thruster, we're crashing, Marcus yelled. The ship slammed into the surface of a frozen moon. The landing was rough, but they survived. Smoke rose from the engine room. The hull was cracked, but they were alive. Marcus grabbed supplies and opened the hatch. Kai, with me. They stepped out into the cold, snowy air. The moon was silent, empty, but not for long. Galtari soldiers were landing. They ran through caves, ice tunnels, old structures buried under snow. Kai followed Marcus closely, legs shaking but never stopping. Then suddenly a light. Soldiers appeared from above. They were surrounded. Drop your weapon. Marcus raised his hand slowly. Kai stepped forward. Wait. The soldiers aimed at him. Kai took off his coat and showed his birthmark glowing faintly on his chest. The Star of Vale. I am Prince Cairo, son of Queen Viera, he said, voice strong. And I've come home. The soldiers froze. They looked at each other. One of them dropped to his knees. It's true. It's really him. They were taken into custody, but not like prisoners. The guards were confused, unsure, but they did not hurt Marcus or Kai. A message was sent directly to the Queen. Back in the palace, Queen Viera stood frozen as she heard the words. He says his name is Cairo. She sat down slowly. She could barely breathe. Bring him to me, she said. Now. Kai and Marcus were cleaned, scanned, and prepared. As they walked through the halls of the royal palace, Kai's steps grew slower. Do you think she? Be angry? He whispered. No, Marcus said. She'll be proud. The doors opened and there she was, Queen Vieja, tall, regal, her golden eyes. Full of emotion, she stepped forward slowly. Her voice cracked. Kairo. Kai's lips trembled. Mother. They stood still. Then she ran to him, pulled him close, and hugged him tightly. Tears fell down her face. You're alive. You're alive, Kai whispered. I missed you. He smiled. You came back. She turned to Marcus. You saved my son. But not everyone was happy. Lord Syrinx stood in the shadows, watching. His face darkened. His power was in danger. He began to whisper with others, to plant doubt. This boy might be a fake, he told the council. Tool used by humans to control us. Some nodded, some wondered. The peace was not guaranteed, not yet. That night, Queen Vera sat with Kai in the royal garden. He told her everything about the pod, the rescue Marcus, the refugee base, streams. She listened, cried, held his hands. You've grown into a prince without me, she said. Kai looked up. Had Marcus. She turned to the human soldier. You risked your life for him, for us. Marcus shrugged. He's worth it, she smiled. I want the galaxy to hear this story. A human saved the Galtari prince. Maybe now they'll believe peace is possible. But Syrinx had other plans. He sent a secret message to a group of mercenaries. Destroy the human, discredit the prince, do it quietly, in the shadows. Of the palace, the danger was growing, and though Kai had finally found home, the real test was about to begin. The royal palace of the Galtari Empire was made of shining crystal towers and glowing stone. From the outside, it looked peaceful. But inside, secrets were moving like snakes in the dark. Prince Cairo had returned. His mother, Queen Vieja, had cried with joy. She had touched his face 100 times, checking if he was real. But not everyone was happy. Lord Syrinx, a powerful war general, stood in the shadows. His voice whispered in dark corners. He could be a fake, he told. The council? He could be a trick sent by humans. But the queen believes him, one council member replied. Syrinx's eyes narrowed. The queen's heart is soft, mine is not. If we let this child take power, he will destroy all we built. In the main royal chamber, Cairo stood in front of high Galtari leaders. His hands were shaking, but his back was straight. Queen. Vera stood beside him. I know you are unsure, she said, facing the room. But this is my son, a child I lost during the war. She turned to Cairo. Show them. Cairo opened his robe and revealed the Star of Vale birthmark glowing. On his chest, the council gasped. Only members of the royal bloodline had that symbol. He then took out a memory crystal Marcus had found inside the stasis pod. When they placed it in the projector, it showed a baby Galtari in the arms of Queen Vieja, laughing and reaching for her face. The queen's own voice spoke in the recording. Sleep well, my Cairo. You will grow strong and you will bring peace to the stars. The room was silent, but then Syrinx stood up. That proves nothing, he said. Memory crystals can be faked. Birthmarks can be copied. We need more proof. The queen's eyes turned sharp. What are you suggesting? A royal blood test? With witnesses, until the test is complete, the human stays in the prison wing. Cairo stepped forward quickly. No, Marcus is my guardian. He saved my life. He's not a threat. Syrinx smiled coldly. Then he has nothing to fear. Marcus was taken to a crystal cell deep underground. It wasn't cruel, but it was still a cell. He sat on the bench, calm, while Galtari guards watched him through. A glowing wall? He had been through worse. Still, he wondered what they would do. They brought the boy here with good intentions, but he knew the danger of politics. People in power didn't always care about truth. He leaned back and closed his eyes. Then the door opened. Queen Vieja stepped inside, alone. She stood in front of the glowing wall. Her golden eyes studied the human. You could have left him behind, she said softly. You could have used him, or sold him. I don't leave kids to die, Marcus said. She looked away for a moment, then back at him. He calls you father. Marcus looked down. I'm not his father, but I tried to be what he needed. Vera nodded slowly. You taught him kindness, patience, mercy, things many of my generals have forgotten. She pressed her hand to the crystal wall. A moment passed, then the wall vanished. She stepped inside the cell and sat beside him. You may not be Galtari, but you are part of my son's life. It makes you part of mine. Marcus looked at her, surprised. I just did what was right. Vera smiled. And that is rare in this galaxy. Meanwhile, in the medical chamber, the blood test was complete. A royal healer stood before the council. It is true. The child is of Queen Varea's blood. His genes match hers perfectly. Whispers spread like wildfire through the chamber. Prince Cairo was real. The queen summoned the people. A public ceremony was held in the palace courtyard. Galtari citizens from across the empire watched on giant sky screens. The queen raised her hand. My son has returned to us, she said. He was not taken, was saved. She looked at Marcus, who now stood in formal armor beside Kai, and the one who saved him is not our enemy, but our ally. The crowd watched in silence. Then, slowly, they cheered. But deep in the underlevels of the city, Lord Syrinx was. Preparing something else, he met with masked mercenaries in the old war tunnels. You will strike during the celebration, he said. Kill the human, kidnap the boy, make it look like a Federation trick. The mercenaries nodded. It will be done. On the night of the victory feast, the sky above the palace was filled with fireworks. Galtari music echoed across the towers. Food, laughter, and light filled the city. Kair stood beside his mother on the royal balcony, waving to the people. Marcus stood close, his hand on his hidden blaster. He had been through enough missions to know when things feel perfect. Something always goes wrong. And he was right, suddenly. An explosion rocked the side courtyard. Screams filled the air. Fire burst from the garden wall. 5 black-armored mercenaries burst through. One threw a smoke bomb. Another aimed straight. At Kairo. Marcus reacted instantly. He pulled Kai behind a pillar, grabbed his blaster, and fired back. Guards rushed in. Blades clashed. Shots flew. Queen Varea was pulled away by her protectors. But one mercenary got close to Kai. He raised a sharp weapon. Then Crack Marcus tackled him to the ground and punched him hard. The mercenary dropped his blade. More guards arrived. Attackers fled, but 3 were caught. Marcus checked Kai. You okay? Kai nodded, eyes wide, heart racing. You saved me again. Later that night, in the palace hall, the captured mercenaries were unmasked. One of them had a tattoo. Syrinx's family mark. Queen Varea stood up. Face like stone, she summoned Syrinx. He walked in slowly, pretending to limp. Your Highness, I came as soon as I heard. She threw the helmet at his feet. You planned this, he said nothing. I trusted you, she said. And you betrayed your people. You trusted a human more than your own general, Syrinx growled. He changed you. He made you weak. She raised her staff. No, he reminded me what strength truly is. She turned to the guards. Syrinx is no longer general. He is to be locked away. Syrinx stared at Kai with hate. This is not the end. Boy, Kai stepped forward. No, it's a new beginning. That night, the queen sat with Marcus and Kai in the moonlight garden. She poured 3 cups of warm, light leaf tea. I thought I had lost everything, she said. But you gave me back more than just my son. Marcus smiled. Gave him back to the galaxy. She looked at Marcus. What do you want, soldier? Gold? Land? Title? He shook his head. I just want peace. She nodded. Then help me build it. The palace was quiet in the early morning. Birds with crystal wings flew through the sky. Gentle winds passed through the garden of light flowers. For the first time in years, peace had returned to the heart of the Galtari Empire. Prince Cairo sat on the edge of a glowing stone bench, looking at the pond. His reflection stared back at him, older, wiser, filled with both joy and sadness. Beside him stood Sergeant Marcus Hale, the human soldier who had once pulled him from a cold pod in space. So, Kai asked, What happens now? Marcus gave a small smile. That's up to you. After the attack during the celebration, Queen Vera had acted quickly. Lord Syrinx was arrested, his private army disbanded, many nobles who had secretly supported him were brought to trial. The Queen made one thing clear: the war is over. Anyone who fights it again will no longer be part of this empire. People listened. The return of the prince had touched hearts. His survival, his story, and the human who had saved Himmet became a symbol of hope. In the following weeks, messages were sent across the stars to the Human Federation, to the outer colonies, to old allies and even old enemies. Queen Vera invited human leaders to the Galtari capital. For the first time in history, a peace summit would be held between the two species, and it would be led by a human soldier and an alien prince. The summit was held in the Grand Dome of Stars, a giant structure where the sky itself became the ceiling. The galaxy could be seen turning above the guests. Queen Virea sat on one side of the round table. The human high commander, an older woman named Elaine Rivers, sat on the other side. Marcus stood between them. He wore simple armor, cleaned and polished, but without rank or medals. "I didn't come here as a hero," he began. "I came here as someone who's tired of burying friends." He paused. "I found a child in the wreckage. I didn't know who he was, only knew he needed help." He looked at Cairo, and in helping him, I changed. Maybe we all can. The room was quiet. Then Kai stepped forward. "I was raised by a human. He taught me that kindness is not weakness, that peace is harder than war, but it's worth fighting for." He lifted the Galtari royal crest. "My mother believed I was dead, but I lived. And now I want to use that second life to build something better." He looked at both sides. For humans, for Galtari. For all the room slowly filled with applause. Leaders on both sides nodded. Some wiped their eyes. The treaty was signed that day, a promise of peace, of shared knowledge, of trade. And friendship, the war that had destroyed so much, was finally over. That evening, back in the palace, Vieta invited Marcus and Kai to her private chamber. A quiet meal was served. No guards, no titles. It's just three people who had been through everything together. "I want to offer you a place here," she told Marcus. "A title, a seat beside my son. You're a part of our history now." Marcus shook his head gently. "I'm honored, Your Majesty, but I think my part in the story is over." Kai looked shocked. "You're leaving?" Marcus smiled at him. "You don't need me anymore, kid. You've got a voice now, a name, a future." Kai lowered his eyes. "But you're my family." Marcus placed a hand on his shoulder. "And I always will be. But I can't tell your story for you. It's your time." The next day, Marcus packed his small bag. He walked slowly through the crystal halls of the palace, saying goodbye to the place that had once been the heart of his enemy and had now become a home at the palace gate. Queen Virea waited. She held a small box in her hands. "For you," she said. Marcus opened it. Inside was a medal of peace. It's the first ever given by both the Human Federation and the Galtari Empire. "You didn't fight for power," she said. "You fought for life that makes you more than a soldier." He nodded. "Thank you, Your Majesty." She stepped forward and hugged him, then whispered, "My people will sing your name for centuries." As Marcus stepped onto a civilian shuttle, Kai ran after him. "Wait." Marcus turned. Kai pulled something from his pocket. It was the old Galtari crest. It's the one Marcus had kept since he found the pod. "I want you to have this," Kai said. "It brought me back to my people. Should stay with the one who gave me the chance." Marcus took it slowly. "You sure?" Kai smiled. "I'm the prince now. I can make new ones." They laughed, then hugged for a long time. The shuttle lifted off. Kai stood at the tower edge, watching it disappear into the stars. He didn't cry. He didn't feel lost. He felt ready. Years passed, under Prince Cairo's guidance. The Galtari Empire grew stronger, but not with weapons. With schools, science, healing. In music, he became known as the Bridge Prince, a symbol of two worlds coming together. Marcus's story was taught in both human and Galtari history books. His statue stood beside Kai's in the piece, Garden on Earth, and the Royal Plaza on Vale Prime. No one ever forgot what he did. On a quiet world far from war and politics, Marcus Hale lived in a small house surrounded by trees and lakes. He never returned to battle, but one day, ship landed near his home. A young Galtari diplomat stepped out. She bowed respectfully. "Prince Cairo sends his love," she said, "and an invitation. He's having his coronation next month." Marcus smiled. "He finally said yes to the crown, huh?" The diplomat nodded. Double quotes. "He said he wouldn't feel ready until you were there." Marcus looked at the stars. "All right," he said. "Time to see the kid become a king."